Hey, vinyl community. We love records, don't we? We do. That's why we're here watching videos because we have an interest in the history of music, the band, the sort of the ability to listen to that song or the album at any point you like without being reliant on internet or anything like that. We like that idea of having a firm collection that is ours, right? We're all on the same page there. But as good as vinyl is, sometimes CDs get top trumps for me. And I'm going to give you some scenarios why. Um, and generally, it's all sort of financial driven. Um, there's a lot of music out there that I want in the collection that I like, that you hear on the radio, or a DJ plays something, or you get a recommendation from a friend, and it's like, yeah, I do really like that music, and I would really like to listen to that, you know, and have that in my collection. But sometimes the prices of these records just kind of mark you out. You're just out of the market. And particularly being a dad with three young kids, there's stuff that I just simply can't afford. And I'm just going to go through a handful of CDs that I love listening to, but realistically, I'll never have the vinyl. So kicking off with this bad boy, Funkadelic, Maggot Brain, absolute genius of an album. This George Clinton and his band of Merry Men, 7 tracks, kicking off with Maggot Brain, the legendary Maggot Brain, a 10-minute long tune, and then you've got all these funky soul sort of filled tunes like Can You Get to That, Hit It or Quit It, Super Stupid, just absolutely fabulous stuff. And rounding off with another 10-minute epic of Wars of Armageddon. A fantastic, fantastic album. Okay, it's about £1,000 on vinyl. That no, never gonna happen. But the great thing about this CD is you get 3 bonus tracks as well. Whole lot of BS, which is really good fun. I Miss My Baby, and an alternative version of Maggot Brain, which is tremendous. So, in terms of will I ever skin myself to own the vinyl copy of that? Unless I win the lottery. No, not gonna. Levy Camp Mum, sort of blues, really sort of deep Delta type blues, a mixture of female, male singing, absolutely wonderful, really, really wonderful sort of early 70s sounding blues music, on a label called Audio Archives, catalogue number AACD 002. Songs like Mr. Backlash, Disgusted of North Action, Levy Camp Boogie, Whiskey Tumble, and it was recorded on mono on a 4-track machine back in 1969, actually, not the 70s, 1969. And this got reproduced and re-released in 1993 on Audio Archives, and it's a great listen. It's a fabulous listen, but the vinyl of that is probably going to be 800 quid, so not going to happen. Remasters, Led Zeppelin, absolute quality collection of songs. For me, CD2 is where the gold is. Well, the gold's all throughout, but on CD2, stuff like Diamaker, Houses of the Holy, Kashmir, Nobody's Fault But Mine, Achilles' Last Stand. I mean, that for me is a tune. 2 tracks in a nice big fat box there. Picked this up from Relic Records not that long ago, maybe January this year. And I don't know if you can see the price there, £7.99. Sounds brilliant. Am I going to forsake that to get a vinyl copy for sort of 200 quid? Nah, I'm perfectly fine with that. Thank you very much. Magic Carpet, absolute beautiful. The singer is a lady called Alicia Suffolk, who's got the most haunting, sort of beautiful, sort of folky type voice. As you can probably tell by just sort of looking at the cover, certainly on the back cover there, you got them jamming in the living room, and it's a very sort of it's very sort of psychedelic folky, but also very sort of Indian sort of tinged in terms of its approach and its sound, and I just love that artwork there. Now, I did used to have this on vinyl, sort of rolling back maybe 15 years, 20 years or so, and it sounded great. It really was a lovely pressing. But I was at university and I was skint, and at the time, I think I maybe got 175 quid for the vinyl, and I thought, you know what, I'll pocket that. That'll feed me for the next month. Um, and now I've got the CD. Do I regret selling that vinyl? Yeah, I do. I really do. But am I happy with the CD? Yeah. Would I now go and buy that on vinyl, which would probably cost about 400 quid now? No. I'll stick with that. Thank you very much. Another absolute wonderful album, this one, Magic Ship. And I picked this up actually because track 7 is a sort of a cover of the Neil Young pen Down by the River, which is they really take it on a wonderful psychedelic journey. I mean, this really is sort of like, you know, really quite out there psych, US psych rock, and it's fabulous. It's a really enjoyable listen. Wednesday Morning Dew is an absolutely gorgeous song. So yeah, I'd recommend that. That's on Afterglow Records. I think that might be some sort of boot actually, or some sort of semi-official release, but it will do. You know, it cost me like 10, 12 quid, something like that. The vinyl, the original pressing of that, you're looking at 700 or 800 quid. No thanks. I'll stick with a CD. Raw Material. This is wonderful. Tracks on here that stand out: Time and Illusion, I'd Be Delighted, really catchy tune. Pear on the Apple Tree, fabulous. So you got the original album here, which consists of the first 7 tracks, and then you get another 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks of non-LP tracks that you wouldn't get on the original vinyl. Again, this was another Relic Records pickup. I don't know if you can see the price there, but another well spent £7.99. An original one of these, you're probably looking at 500 quid. I mean, that sounds absolutely brilliant. You know, it's remastered wonderfully. It's on Background Records. They do a lot of sort of psych, sort of rare prog rock and all that kind of stuff. This one's got quite a sort of jazzy sort of undertow on there. There's a guy called Mick Fletcher who does vocals, harp, flute, and the saxophone. Delving a little bit deeper into his own personal back catalogue, he's been involved with all sorts of more sort of jazzy kind of releases. So I can see myself going down a wormhole there, you know, looking out for his stuff. But a really talented band. If you've not heard this, you know, it's really worth giving a listen. Really enjoyable. And finally, to finish off, this is a great record. Sort of, you know, it doesn't sound a million miles away from kind of the Beatles, early Pink Floyd. You know, it's kind of got that sort of 60s British psych, pop psych kind of feel going on. A great record, released, or should I say re-released on a label called C for Miles Records in 1991. I picked this up for about 12 quid. The reason I picked this up is because the guitarist on this is a guy called Steve Howe. Being a big Yes fan, I love Steve Howe's guitar work. I think he's an extremely talented guy. I could listen to him play the guitar all day long. And this is a really early incarnation of his songwriting, his music, his guitar ability, but also the rest of the band are great. You know, and it's a really, really fun listen. Obviously very influenced by the Beatles, but there's also a cover on here of Strawberry Fields Forever, the Lennon and McCartney tune. So again, another big hitter in terms of a vinyl release. I don't know what this one's worth on vinyl, maybe like 900 quid, 800 quid, something silly. I guess the point is, if you've got these on vinyl, brilliant. I envy you. You know, I do. I bet they're, you know, wonderful to listen to, and I bet the sound quality is a step up. But being, you know, I wasn't around when any of these were released. You know, they're all sort of from the 70s or earlier, and so, you know, the ship had already sailed on these records. They weren't available. So, am I going to be in a position to backtrack to kind of get these on the original record? No. Am I going to put up with the CD? Yeah. The CD sounds great. Am I going to invest more money on vinyl new releases? Yeah. And what you tend to find is those records at some point in the future, some of them will become collectible, and that's brilliant. Not that I'd ever sell them, but really just a rant. I think this sort of stuff is where the CDs really come into their own. Because you've got the ownership of the music. You can listen to them whenever you want. You're not reliable, not reliant on some crappy streaming service where you get some substandard sound. They're yours, and for me, that is gold. Anyway, thanks for listening to me rant for 10 minutes. Have a good day. Bye.